I told you about the story we are tracking. Why are we tracking that story? We're tracking the story because in Nigeria, when it's that season for exams, whether it's WAEC or SSE or NECO, GCE, you name it, you begin to hear strange tales coming from schools. And that's why in Enugu State, the Ppsmb decided that it was time to take a tour to find out what is happening. The real story, the cocoa, if I may use that word. And one of us, my colleague, was part of that trip to some areas in Enugu State to find out what was happening. If you're just joining us, you didn't hear the report. But if you had joined us earlier, you would have heard that report. They went to several areas, but one that caught my attention was in Olu. Olu is in Ezago local government area of Enugu State. And of course, my colleague is here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
UGONNE OWALU, you're welcome to Southeast News.
Thank you.
The trip, the scenario, students, teachers, and then the board. What does it convey? What impression does that convey?
This is a senior WAEC examination period, and before now, or within this period, students do not actually read their books. Now, going out for the monitoring and checking how they do their exams by the Ppsmb chairman himself is to know exactly, to see these things happen himself.
We're going to just hold it there. Just keep that thought. We'll be right back. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Every second, every minute.
All right. I just stopped UGONNE there. Why did I do that? Because I was beginning to get too excited and I didn't want the story to end too soon. So UGONNE, back to you. You were trying to remind me of why all the scenarios I painted should be happening, because it's senior school certificate examinations. So go ahead.
Okay, yes. So the Ppsmb chairman actually went out to the schools, some of the schools in Ezago local government, Olu to be precise, to monitor these exams himself, to actually find out what is happening, how well the students read their books, how well they understand what has been taught, and how the teachers has put in more effort in preparing them for these exams. But getting there, it was so shocking that we went to two schools. We went to community secondary school, Olu, and we went to model secondary school, Olu. They are both in Olu. So we found out that when we got there, the children, they had already finished writing theory. And chairman was like, oh really, you guys are done? Oh, let me see. He called their names and he picked their scripts and said, okay, you answered question number what again? Okay, read it. You wrote it yourself? They said yes. Okay, tell me what you answered in the script. And that was the beginning of the whole wahala. That happened in model. they could not give him the answer that they wrote. They claimed they wrote themselves.
Just a few, let me say, a few minutes ago before you arrived.
Exactly. Then Reverend Father was like, who wrote this for you? Who called them out for you? How much did you pay for this? And they couldn't answer. Then he had to have an interview, personal interview, one after the other, outside the hall, and found out that they paid 2,000 naira to the invigilator, or the supervisor rather. Then Father was like, the lady wearing gown, Father was like, really, you made these children pay 2,000. You extort from their mothers in this hardship. Do you know these children live in the rural areas? They find it difficult, their parents find it difficult to provide for them, and you have the mind to extort 2,000 naira from their parents. And the anger, Chairman's anger was that the supervisor, the lady wearing the gown, was lying. She said, no, nobody gave me any money, this and that. And he was angry and said, where is this for the principal? The principal was even outside. Then he called him and said, where were you? Were you in the hall from the beginning of the examination till the time we came in? The supervisor was like, no. He said, okay, now you want to claim you don't know about the 2,000 naira. There's no problem. Then there was another man. The man is not his staff. And Father said that he has told that man to stop coming anywhere close to his school, because so long as he's still the Ppsmb chairman, all the schools are his. So he should stop coming to his schools. And because the chairman refused, the man wearing check, crossing his hand, he refused, and he told the three of them to come to the board by 8 today to face the panel. And we go to community secondary school, OWALU, and Father himself searched the student. Lo and behold, one child was holding, he got like 6,000 naira from his pocket. And he was like, wow, you're a big boy. Why do you have such money in your pocket? He said, but first of all, he asked him, where is your house? He said his house, he pointed very close. That's very close. He said, okay, so what are you doing with the whole 6,000 naira? He said, that is his lunch. And I said, your lunch, what do you want to eat in this village that is up to 6K? Then he searched the other one. That one was holding 3,000 plus, a little amount on top of, and he got angry. Then the supervisor was like, you people should have given me the money. Why didn't you tell me that you had so much amount? No, it's not like. He looked at the supervisor and was like, you think I'm crazy. He was so angry, and he was so disappointed at the way like they didn't actually call these children, like they didn't tutor them well, because if they had, they would be so bold to write the exams. While we were there, it was time for objective, the shading part. We stood there for like 30 minutes. These children were shading their names and their numbers.
For 30 minutes?
For 30 minutes. And the PANSEC was with us, the PRO was with us. And
okay, you can just watch him there trying to search someone.
And they were like, they called the principal and was like, why are these children not writing anything for 30 minutes? They're just shading their numbers and their names. What is the problem? Because if you had invested so much in these children, they won't have been doing this, wasting time in answering these questions. Then Chama was like, had it been there's an emergency and I decide to just to say I'm waiting and I'll go with the papers myself, what will you score? It was so heartbreaking.
Not a good story to tell, especially when we consider the fact that education is a key that can unlock the potential of any young person. And it's not a good story to tell. But now, from what was found out yesterday, and those that were told to report at the board, the situation in the schools, it didn't just happen yesterday. So we need to also ask, what was the board doing before now? We need to also ask that question. What was the board doing before now? How has the board been playing its supervisory role, ensuring that people, specifically teachers, are not just in school, but they are doing what they were supposed to do, teach the students?
Yes, actually. During the chairman, Reverend Father Hilary Mbodilu, he was having, he had an interactive section with the students. Then, later with the teachers. Then, one teacher said she was laying a complaint. Then she said, Father, please, that they have challenges, but one of them is transportation. The father was like, what do you mean by transportation? That they come from Enugu to the village to teach the children. Father was like, you just reported yourself. You have failed the guidelines laid down for teacher to be close to where they were posted. You are supposed to live not even a place where you take 500 or 200 naira to the school. You are supposed to live in a walking distance to the school where you were posted. Had it been you were close to the school, these children will bring their homework. They will bring their notes and say, Ma, please, I don't understand this. But when they look around and they don't see any mentor, anybody to teach them, what do you expect them to do? Then he was like, for instance, when you were in school, then, I'm sure you still remember, your parents, if you actually schooled in a village school, your teachers lived in the school quarters.
Yes, the school quarters.
And they didn't stay far from you people. And it made school to be very fun, because students will come by and be like, teacher, we don't understand this. Then it is your obligation, whether you like it or not, to spend extra time. And that is the reason you were posted to that community. But he said it's a story for another day, but the teachers will actually come to him and tell him why they come from Enugu to the village. Because one, it will make them to arrive late.
So, but yes, you'll still explain that, but let me quickly interject in this situation. What's the distance between Enugu and Olu?
It's because of bad road.
I'm just imagining, if you're taking a commercial vehicle, how long would it take you? Is it, let me just say, is it 30 minutes, 1 hour, an hour plus?
It can be 45. Yes, it can be 45. If you have a personal, 30 minutes, 45.
If you have a personal vehicle. So now, if you look at some of the images from your report, you'll notice that some of the structures in the school have issues. So we still go back to the supervisory role of the board. Yes, people have been posted to a school. Yes, they are expected to live close to the school or within the school premises. But we always talk about having a conducive environment for work and study. So when you got, not the model school now, because even if you look at the two signboards, that of the model secondary school, Olo, is welcoming. That of a community secondary school, Olo, looks as if it's something, an idea that stopped developing at a point. And that gives you an impression what would have been happening in the two different schools, although they are both located in the same community. So From what you saw, do you really think that change will come quickly and the students will have a turnaround? Probably not this set, because the exams are already here.
Yes, actually. The change will come quickly, though, but like you said, not with this set, actually. But from what the chairman said, he said from next term, which is September. But we actually went with an engineer, structural engineer.
Okay.
But he told him to look at it, look at the edifice, then see what can be done. He should write his quotation and submit to him. But on the other hand, he was skeptical about it because the schools, they have four schools in OWALU. So he's not even sure where the merging will come. So he said he should look at all of them. So when the governor, when all of them decide, then they will know which one to work on properly, then know what to do with the other ones.
That's also a good move. Now, we are tracking the story. Why are we tracking the story? Because exam malpractice seems to be a major issue in Nigeria. And the latest results from JAM also shows that we have a problem with our educational system. And there have been so many issues raised of parents influencing promotions in school, parents influencing grades and all that. And that with JAM, using the model they are using, it's beginning to expose the flaws in the school system. From what the chairman said and the responses you got, is there hope for us? Hope like getting the teachers to do what they are supposed to do, and also encouraging the students to begin to see life from the perspective of, just as the chairman said, reading your books, reading your notebooks, attending classes.
Of course, there's actually hope, because from the interactions I've had so far with the Ppsmb chairman, I've had an interview with Commissioner for Education, and the idea of the smart school, you know, the whole idea will make school interesting for the children. Now they are going to, there will be, for the teachers actually, the smart school will provide accommodation for them. So this one that the teacher was saying, they live far and all that, that issue will no longer be there. They will be provided with textbooks from the information I gathered so far. So when they have textbooks, definitely schooling will be very interesting. Now, they will have laptops, desktops. Of course, when you have something like that, you want to study. And when your teachers live very close to you, they will guide you and all that. And of course, it's going to be less expensive for their parents. So they won't be grumbling that this one is expensive and everything will be all provided for, and in a very neat and conducive environment, not like we saw in the areas we went to. Because if the environment is sweet, conducive, neat, why won't the child not go to school? If the roofs are not leaking, if they are properly done, if they have enough beautiful seats, you know, like this is model. During the interactive section, a child from SS2 told the chairman, he said, "Father, please, we have a problem." Father was like, "Okay, what's the problem?" He said, like, they don't have biology teacher. They don't have this one. They don't have that one teaching them on science subjects. That she doesn't even know much in biology because the teachers are not there. and the equipment, they don't have a lab, no apparatus for them to use. Okay, she said that if when she go to Enugu for a holiday, during interactive session with them, like playing and gisting with other sets, that's when she understands that these things are necessary for her as a student. But it's so unfortunate that where she's schooling, she doesn't have those facilities. So chairman was like, that these things will be taken care of.
All right, then, just before I let you go, the thought just came to my head. I know that you mentioned smart schools. The thought that came to my head is, by the time the smart schools begin serious school sessions, what would happen to the existing schools?
They will be merged.
How are they going to merge them?
All the junior ones, like you from like I said, in Olo, for instance, they have 4 schools, and in all the 4 schools, the junior sections in all the 4 schools will be in one school, one location. Then the seniors in all the 4
location.
will be in another. So like they are going to have like 2, junior and secondary, and not 4 schools anymore. So you just have 2 schools, junior and secondary.
And senior.
Yes.
GSS and SSS.
Yes.
But I don't know. I do understand that for each community, why they set up schools is so that the facility is not too far away for their children. So when you're going to merge schools, say all junior come to school A in so location, won't we still have the issue of that distance? How transportation becomes an issue again, because it's no longer within a walking distance. It becomes an issue. So what will be put in place to ensure that that environment, because you said when the environment is clean, is fun, it becomes easy to learn. So what will the government be planning to put in place so that these students can really learn and turn this ugly situation around?
You know, private schools have school buses that go pick their children.
So government schools, you want government schools to provide school buses too?
It's not.
No. It's just a question.
It's actually doable. It's doable. If one person can do it, then why can't the government do it? That has the money and can provide for it. So why not?
We're beginning to imagine how many school buses will be provided, and except they are talking about solar-powered vehicles. I'm not thinking of electric vehicles because we are talking of rural areas. Solar-powered vehicles, you begin to think in terms of consumption of petrol, and that's huge.
And the availability of fuel station in the local area as well.
That's also another problem. So in trying to solve one problem, you are creating a myriad of problems. Well, we'll take a quick break. When we return, I'll tell you what next.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.